Yes team, welcome back to another YouTube video. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. And if you're new here, hi, my name's Nathan. I'm an online coach. I run Coach by Collins and I help guys and girls level up and achieve life-changing fitness transformations. In this video, I'm gonna go through exactly how I went from this to this in just 100 days, losing 10 kilos in the process and getting into the shape of my life. But more importantly, how you can too. Before I go into exactly how I achieved it, context is really important for a fitness transformation like this. So for myself, I've been training for 7 years. The last 3 to 4 years, training performance has been very, very high. I've been progressively overloading, I've been getting stronger, and I've been building muscle. So that starting shot, even though I'm holding a little bit of body fat, I've got a really good foundation to start from. So when I go into a cut and I start to lose the body fat, I'm basically revealing the muscle that I've built. So if you are looking to cut, just make sure you've got a foundation to start from. Make sure you've built some muscle before you lose the body fat. Before I went to this cut, I made sure I gave myself enough time to then be in a position I'm really happy with. So for myself, I gave myself 12 to 15 weeks. And it's really, really important that you give yourself more time just in case the odd day or a couple of weeks don't quite go the way that you want them to. It's really important that you plan out that period of time, okay? If you don't plan and you don't give yourself enough time, what you end up doing is you're trying to catch up and you're playing fast track with this fat loss phase. And what you end up doing is you end up burning out and you'll end up losing muscle tissue. And we don't want to lose the muscle tissue. We want to keep our strength there to regain the muscle and to lose the body fat. If you try and do it in a condensed period of time, 4, 5, 6 weeks, try and lose as much weight as possible. It's not going to be healthy, it's not going to be sustainable, you can have zero energy and you're not going to look great at the end of it. So yeah, just make sure you give yourself a lot of time and make sure that you plan. For myself, it was 12 to 15 weeks and it ended up being 100 days. Once I worked out exactly how long I wanted the cut to be, I then entered and sustained a calorie deficit. So a calorie deficit is the single most important thing that you need to do in order to drop body fat. And what I'd suggest, I'm going to put on the screen right now, is for you to work out your maintenance calories. So these are the calories that you need to eat to maintain your weight on a daily basis. So from these numbers, you can then work out exactly how many calories you need to eat to be in a deficit. What I would personally suggest is I would just reduce this number slightly so it's a slow and controlled calorie deficit. Because the worst thing that you can do is to take all your calories away, you can have no energy for the gym, you can have no energy on a daily basis, and you're gonna basically reverse back to your kind of calorie maintenance and probably eat more. So make sure it's a really, really small deficit. For myself, I think I started around sort of 2,600 calories, and I think the lowest I got it down to in the last couple of weeks was about 2,200. Don't take anything from those numbers though, because they're very individual to myself. Use the calculator, work out your maintenance calories, work out your deficit, and then go from there. So what I did over a period of time is I started at a number, 2,600, and over the course of the 100 days, I just reduced it slightly to make sure that I sustained a calorie deficit. And this leads me really nicely into expenditure. So if you love food like myself, and you don't want to kind of slash your calories completely, what you can do is you can increase your expenditure. And I did this by doing 3 different things. The very first one is by working out, which I'll talk about in a second. The second one is by increasing my steps. And the third one is by adding in cardio. Every single day, without fail, I hit 10,000 steps. This is about 500 calories expended. And this is really powerful in a fat loss phase. I also added in cardio, so I use cardio as a tool to help me with my calorie deficit because I didn't want to bring my calories down anymore. So what I did is I just added in cardio. This came in the form of incline walking on a treadmill, using a Stairmaster, bike. I added in some intensity towards the back end of my sessions as well by doing a bit of conditioning work as well. And this massively helps. So just by increasing that expenditure, this is going to make a massive difference. I train just 4 times in a week, giving myself 3 rest days. This is really important when you go into a fat loss phase and when you want to cut down, because there will be times that you're fatigued, there will be times that you're tired, some days you're going to have less energy than others. So making sure that you make time for rest days to rest both, physically and mentally, so when you go back into the gym, you can perform at such a high level. This is really important to understand because you don't have to train 7 days in a week, you don't have to train 6, 5, whatever it may be. Just make sure you follow a training split that really suits you and your kind of lifestyle. For myself personally, 4 days was perfect. I followed an upper, lower split. And what I did with these workouts is I made sure I prioritized the big compound movements to begin with, making sure I retained the numbers. They took a little bit of hit over the period of time, but nothing too crazy. And then I turned to kind of isolation and kind of intensity towards the back end of the session. Even though I weighed myself every single day, after I went to the toilet, before I had any food or drink, I didn't take individual readings as the metric of exactly how the fat loss phase was going. I took the weekly average, and this is really important in a fat loss phase because it doesn't come down to individual readings because weight does fluctuate. Some days will be higher than others. It's just one of those things. So what I did with my weekly average is if it wasn't dropping or if it wasn't dropping down the way that I wanted it to go, I increased the deficit. The way I increased the deficit was by increasing my expenditure or decreasing my calories. To begin with, this just started with the expenditure because I had so much energy and I wasn't too fatigued. I knew that I could do more in the day, so I increased my expenditure. Towards the back end of the cut, towards the kind of last 5, 4, 3 weeks, that's when the calories would come down. And it's as simple as that. You monitor your weight, you take the weekly average, and to ensure that the calorie deficit continues and you keep dropping body fat, you just drop your calories a little bit or you increase your expenditure. If you can do that over a period of time, you're going to lose body fat, you're going to retain muscle tissue, and you're going to look fantastic at the end. Throughout this time, I followed a flexible eating approach. This is really important for myself because I don't like eating the same foods every single day. I do like routine, I do like simplicity, but I want to include different foods but in moderation. So what I did is I followed an 80-20 split. So 80% of nutritious foods and 20% kind of processed sugary foods. By doing this, I made sure I got the important nutritious foods in throughout my day, but then also enjoy the odd treat here or there. This made the cut sustainable and it made me enjoy it throughout. If I didn't do this, if I ate the same boring foods every single day, it's not enjoyable. I would have hated every second, and even though you might look great at the end of it, it's just not the one. So you can follow this approach. This is the approach that I followed. This allowed me to have Biscoff spread, allowed me to have chocolate, allowed me to have pizza, while still, like I said, look incredible at the end. Honestly, you can follow this approach too. You don't have to have the same boring foods every single day. Just follow the kind of 80% and 20% rule. Include your favorite foods in moderation, and you're still going to get lean, you're still going to cut down, and you're still going to get into the shape of your life. There will be down days. There will be days that are tougher than others. This is normal, this happens. Your energy levels are depleted. You might be a bit fatigued. You might be a little bit doubtful of exactly how the cut's going. This is normal. This doesn't just happen when you're cutting down. This can happen on any day. You can have those down days, but it's how we manage them. On my down days, what I did was I did all my favorite things. So a little bit like the flexible eating approach, I still live my life exactly how I would if I wasn't cutting down. So I still spent time with my favorite people. I still went out for some coffees. I still went out for something to eat, making smarter choices. I still did my favorite things. And again, it's really important to understand that when you go into a cut like this, you don't just completely isolate yourself. You don't kind of just like take yourself out of the norm and your kind of reality on a day-to-day basis. Still continue to do what you want to do. Like I said, when it comes to food, you will have to make some smart choices. You will have to tick those boxes. And that's what I suggest if you do have down days. Just take a step back from your training or nutrition or whatever it may be. Do the things you love. Do the things that make you happy with the best people. And I promise you, this is going to massively help because you will have down days. But like I said, it always comes down to how you manage them. So over the course of the 100 days, I made sure I was so consistent. So a little bit like, managing those difficult days. Some days were better than others, but what I made sure, and this is the kind of thing that I like to do with myself and my team members as well, is to make sure that we have those 7 out of 10 weeks. So some days might be 10 out of 10 days, other days might be 5 out of 10 days, but it always comes down to that weekly average, and that weekly average, if it's 7 out of 10, is going to get you the result you want to. If you're so consistent on a week-to-week basis, you're going to get the result that you're after. Consistency comes in the form of everything that you do on a daily basis. Training, nutrition, stress, sleep, whatever it may be, just dealing with general life on a day-to-day basis, you've just got to be consistent over the course of the week. Some days will be tougher than others, other days will be absolutely fantastic. But over the course of the 100 days, or whatever it may be for however long you want to kind of cut for, if you're consistent, you're going to get an absolutely incredible result. And that's it. That's how I lost 10 kilos in 100 days to get into the shape of my life. And more importantly, how you can too. If you did find this video useful, hit that like button, consider subscribing to see more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.